What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome into episode number 256 of the allegedly award-nominated, number 9 ranked NCAA podcast, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB, it's Deej, coming at you from Underground Studios. We got a lot to get into this episode. Making his illustrious return to the podcast this week in preparation for the Wings home opener, one and only head coach and GM of the Philadelphia Wings, Paul Day. So that'll be later on in the episode. We're going to recap everything that happened in the league last week. Get ready for this week's slate of games that we have Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday game, all going on during the NFL playoffs as well. So we're going to be strapped to the nines with content coming out. We'll dive into the championship series schedule. And buckle in. It's going to be a doozy of an episode. So, before we get started, make sure you're following us at OTB LaxPod, Twitter, Instagram. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, leave those 5-star reviews. It really does help the show continue to grow, helps more people get their eyes and ears on the show, and we're trying to take this thing to new heights in 2023. So subscribe to the podcast feed and subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, where you get full video episodes, OTB cast live streams, original content, shorts, all that good stuff. YouTube.com/@UndergroundSportsPhiladelphia. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers, guys. We're at 355. Let's get that thing cooking. Subscribe. Smash that like button. Ring the bell icon. Comment down below your thoughts on everything we discuss on the episode tonight. And, of course, get your merch. PHI Apparel Company is the place to get it. And now, hoodies are live. It's hoodie season. They look incredible. I can't wait to get mine. There's no better place to go and to be rocking your merch than PHI Apparel Company. You're going to stand out when you go to your favorite NLL arena, when you go on the road for the PLL, if you're watching your favorite college team, if you're on campus, wherever you may be. Rock that OTB merch out in the wild, and make sure you tag us on social media when you get it. And you guys can go to phiapparel.co and use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off any order, and use that code so that they know that you're coming from us. phiapparel.co, code UNDERGROUND. Get your hoodies, get your merch. Shout out to everybody that's been getting merch. Go get it. What's poppin', Deej?
Living that thing we call the dream.
Absolutely.
I'm working, but I mean, it's awesome. I did that whole COVID thing again tonight. So, longtime rival, Battle Creek Central. It's about 30 minutes down the road up I-94. Has always been some grife there. A lot of extracurriculars happen outside of the games. So they are now moving forward. Football and basketball have no fans, no spectators. So I called a game in an empty gym. Two games in an empty gym tonight. Very different. Just different. It just feels so different.
That's eerie.
It's very eerie. It like took me back to COVID when like there literally were no fans and like that was the only way. Like, but I get it. Safety is more important
For sure.
It makes sense.
Let's get into the wild week that was week 6. We had a phenomenal week of picks, combined 13-1 in our picks this week. I had the first perfect week of the season, if I'm not mistaken. You go 6-1.
Perfect week.
You were one goal away.
I literally.
That's how close it was.
And that game was insane.
Phenomenal week. Just to recap the scores here: Philadelphia beats Las Vegas 14-9. Rochester dominates Panther City without Connor Fields. Congrats to Fieldsy on the marriage. Rochester wins 17-9. Halifax holds on to beat Albany 14-11. Buffalo decimates Georgia 18-9. Toronto puts the slapsticks on New York 15-7. Colorado tops Calgary in the banner game 9-8. And then San Diego beats Vancouver 16-11. And not only do we have game week action, following week 6, we had 2 GM switch-ups. New York fires their GM. Jim Veltman out. Rich Lisk has taken over immediately as the, I guess, interim GM or acting GM. Those of you who know Rich Lisk, obviously, former president of lacrosse operations and or GM of the New England Black Wolves before going to New York. He's a friend of ours. So, I mean, I think it's no offense to Jim Veltman either. But I think it is a positive move in the long run for the Riptide. Rich knows this league very, very well, knows how to operate, with moves, trades, and all that. So excited to see what is in store for the Riptide now as they make this move. And they also traded the boy, Jake Fox, to Panther City in exchange for one of the more hilarious nicknames I've seen on social media in a long time. So Jake Fox gets traded to Panther City in exchange for, I want to get his first name correct because I'm totally blanking on it because it's been one of those weeks. I think it's Chad. Yes, Chad Cummings. The amount of people he won a championship with Calgary in 2019, was Panther City's captain, wore the C. So big pickup there for the Riptide. But the amount of people who have called Chad Cummings Cummer, I just felt bad. How do you condone that, Chad?
What else were they supposed to call him, though?
Chad?
No. That's
I'm glad we were on the same wavelength.
That's worse. He can't go by
then
Chad.
Cummer?
I think I know one Chad in my life. He turned out a little.
Well, at least we know he can finish.
Hey, I'm just saying. Things that can't
the
be
girls
said on the
that get it, and the girls that don't.
Things that can't be said on the radio. Oh.
That trade happened. Then Josh Courier, the boy,
we had a lot of fun with,
gets traded from Saskatchewan to Calgary, reunited with his brother. So the Courier Bros are back together. On YouTube, in the comment section, leave your best Courier Bros career, like job, place of employment that you can think of, like Courier Bros blank. Leave it in the comment section, and we'll read the best ones on next week's episode.
Just know my best is Courier Bros excavating, so none of you can use that. Find something else.
And then Vancouver's GM and assistant GM both stepped down from their position effective immediately. I mean, that one was kind of not a surprise. It was more of a surprise that it wasn't the first GM. No offense to them, but they have a lot to figure out. They have a lot to figure out in Vancouver. So whoever is coming in as the next GM, buckle up because you got a lot to figure out, in my opinion.
They put up
which also
game this weekend, though. In my opinion,
also adds though. It adds to my preseason prediction that Mitch Jones is going to get traded. I think Vancouver's going to go full send rebuild.
That's not a bad idea now, especially with their current situation.
Yeah. So a wild week in week 6. Standings wise, this is what it looks like as we head into week 7. The Nighthawks all alone at the top in the East at 4-0. Buffalo and Halifax at 3-1. Philadelphia at 2-1. Toronto at 2-2. Albany at 1-2. And both Georgia and New York at 0-3. And then the Wild Wild West. San Diego at 4-0. Saskatchewan and Colorado at 2-1. Calgary at 2-2. Panther City at 2-3. Vegas at 0-3, and Vancouver 0-4. It's tough. It's tough in the streets out west. A couple of winless teams there. 4 winless teams as we head into week 7. Deej, I'm going to see if they all play. I think they do since we have 8 games this week. As I sift through here, Georgia does play Vancouver and so one of those teams will be getting their first win because Vegas and Vancouver play each other this weekend. But if you had to make a prediction, which of those teams is getting their first win between New York, Georgia, Vegas, and Vancouver?
I can't answer that because then that spoils my pick for later.
That's fair. But this is more so just a vibes thing, not really indicating your pick. But if like you just had to, so I'll give you their opponents too. Georgia is on the road against Buffalo. Vegas is in Vancouver for that battle of winless teams, and then Rochester is in New York on Sunday. That's the Sunday game.
Vegas.
That's what I was going to say too.
That's what I was going to say in the beginning because I mean I've liked, they've been at home the past couple games, which their vibe though there has been fantastic. The fans love it. They get the energy from the fans. They're playing with a different kind of attitude. Like it's almost like they're just having fun, but like having fun at 100,000 miles per hour. Like they just go fast, go hard, have fun, and it's enjoyable and it's a nice vibe to watch. So I can't imagine playing for it. It obviously helps that they're playing a struggling Vancouver, and then looking over at the other side, 2 powerhouses right now are going against 2 of the weakest teams in the league. No offense, but that's pretty much what it is.
100%. I do think we have to dish out our awards for week 6. It's brought to you by our friends at Trophy Smack. You guys can upgrade your fantasy smack talk. I'm sure you're in NLL fantasy leagues across the world. You guys can go to trophysmack.com/underground. There's no better place to upgrade your fantasy smack talk. They've got belts, rings, trophies, metal wall art, you name it, they got it. So go to trophysmack.com/underground and upgrade that fantasy smack talk today. That's trophysmack.com/underground. Deej, I'm looking here. I think there's only one place to go for offensive player of the week. He had 8 assists. He had 2 goals. He led his new team to victory, and he's just on an absolute tear, and he's in the early MVP conversation for me now as well. It's got to be Randy Stotts.
That was bonkers.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen anyone put up that amount of points in any kind of game, field or box.
10 points
with that many assists.
9 shots on goal. Along with 2 loose balls.
Can we just talk about how him and Randy have been like the best?
Well, you mean him and
or Austin? Sorry,
Austin. Yeah.
Like, I mean, they've been unreal actually to start the year. Like, I mean, those 2 have been top 5 in terms of offensive players in the league, and it may not show up in terms of points, due to how some of these other teams are constructed and they're being driven through certain players, but realistically, they've had the biggest impact on their teams as offensive players this year, outside of maybe
Seals.
Connor Fields.
And the Seals guys and Dane. So your top 5 in points this year in the league right now, heading into this week, it's Randy Stotts with 33 points through 6 games. Dane Smith with 30. And then Dane Dobie, Curtis Dixon, and Westberg all with 28.
And who's assisted most of those goals? Probably nobody. I don't know, though.
Dane leads the league in assists with 26. Randy's got 23. Westberg has 22. Dane Doby has 16. And then the only other name we haven't mentioned on that list with 18 is Mark Matthews.
Matthews has looked great this year, especially with kind of the new surge rush coming back this year. I've liked Mark as well. But, yeah, no, this one was easy this week. Randy Stott's definitely on the offensive side.
I have my rookie of the week because he's just been on an absolute tear since being put into the lineup. He's friend of the program adjacent. Producer Donnie, Jonathan Donville. 6 points this week, had a hat trick, 3 assists for Panther City. Even though they lost, he's looked fantastic since being inserted into that lineup and is one of those like pieces that I think if he's there last year, Panther City gets into the playoffs as they went on that tear. He's been great for them. He had 10 shots on goal. He's that type of weapon that like he may not be at Jeff Teat's level because Jeff Teat is like all world, obviously, and like one of those unicorn players. But Jonathan Donville's like that player for Panther City where you put him in the lineup and like that's that juice they needed. That's that like alpha on offense that they needed who can create opportunities and also make his own for other people. So I'm giving the nod to producer Donnie for rookie of the week.
I got to be this guy. I got to throw out a devil's advocate for a little bit of clout here. Are we inclined to give it to Emerson Clark due to having a debut and a goal after coming over from the NHL for so long?
I think we can give the like honorable mention / like the 1B.
I'm fair with that. Because like I mean, he didn't do much, but like I kind of feel like he deserves, like some kind of shout for that. That's totally impressive for one to come over from one professional sport to another, and then to score in your debut is it's next level. You're playing at the highest level in 2 sports, and there's literally a handful of people in the world that can say that.
Goalie of the week. I feel like I'm inclined to give it to the boy Nick Rose, only letting up 7 goals this week. Lowest amount of any goalie, 34 saves. Not the highest save like opportunity, but to only let up 7 goals in that game against the New York Riptide. It's pretty damn impressive.
And I mean, and the Riptide got off to like
they were up 3-0
or something. Yeah. And I was like, what's going on here? And then he turned it up, and so did the rest of the team. I'm very good with that. You know how I feel about Rosie and his card obsession, and he opened cards with some guy. Like,
yeah, Peter
before
Schwartz
after the game or whatever. Yeah, and I was like, all right, when is it our turn?
Yeah. Well, I think it's Nick Rose, Peter Schwartz, and us who are leading the charge for NLL trading cards.
Yep.
Got to make it happen. I think Rosie kind of like sprinkle a hint that the NLLPA is trying, like with tops. So hopefully. Also, honorable mention to Dylan Ward. Only gave up 8 goals, held Colorado in that game against Calgary down the stretch. So shout out Ward, trade Ward. And then defensive player of the week. I'm looking at stats here. I had to pull up the Buffalo and George game. I feel like that is the game to take a peep at in terms of defense with how well Buffalo contained the Georgia Swarm there. Not too much. Oh, I think we got to give it to the man, the myth, the legend, number 23 from the Buffalo Bandits, Steve Priolo.
He had a very good game.
9 loose balls, 2 caused turnovers. Team gets the win. I think I'm giving my nod to Steve Priolo. Actually, well, that's let's see. Yeah, Steve Priolo gets my vote.
I'm very cool with that.
So there it is. Those are your OTB award winners for week 6. Rosie, Randy Stotts, Emerson Clark, and producer Donnie, and then Steve Priolo. Deej, let's get to your state of the fandom. Anything switch up this week? Is anybody officially off the table as we head to week 7, or is it still pretty much fair game up in the air?
Vancouver. Other than trying to give them a chance again this year, because I didn't want to be that guy that blew everybody off in the first half. Second half started and they're not doing any better. So, and then obviously all of their other shenanigans on top of that. I don't want to play for, I don't want to cheer for the Raiders or the Cowboys or any other way you want to put that. Like, I don't want to play for the scandal team.
The Browns.
I want to cheer for the scandal team. Yeah, I want to cheer for a team that has good standard. So no offense to them and everything.
Still root for our boys.
I understand as a coach that has to do more, having a club program. I understand how hard it is to run a team and everything that's going on. So no disrespect to in that respect, but I can't do that right now. In Georgia, the only thing keeping you in it is that guy that wears number 4. Like, y'all are hanging on the fringe of literally, like,
it's been a tough go for Brett Dobson.
Yeah, and then I think Wendy's been playing most of the time actually. But either way, it's been tough for either one of them, and like I don't completely blame that on them. Their defense in front is a little iffy. Congratulations to Jordan McIntosh, by the way, breaking that loose ball record or moving up in the ladder this past weekend. But yeah, like they've just had a tough time as a whole on the defensive side, so that's scaring me a little bit. But like I can never really count out Lyle Thompson. So
just remember their mascot.
That's also definitely weighing heavy on my mind.
You shout out J-Mac. Shout out Reese Dutch as well, joining the 1,000 Point Club. Very exclusive club. Awesome to see him get that out there for the Mammoth. So there's DJ's State of the Fandom, the Vancouver Warriors. It's time for you to go. You're off the table for DJ's Fandom. Let's get a little Week 7 preview before our picks. These are the matchups this week, Deej. We got Friday Night Lacrosse, 2 games. Albany at Halifax, so they're running it back just at Halifax now. And then Saskatchewan at Colorado, rematch of opening weekend, just in Colorado this time. Then Saturday, Halifax has another game, but on the road in Toronto. Panther City goes to Philadelphia for the Wings home opener. Georgia goes to Buffalo, so they're running it back just in Buffalo. San Diego at Calgary. Las Vegas at Vancouver. And then Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, Rochester at New York. So that is your slate of games this week. 8 games on the docket.
Don't even ask me what just happened.
That's the slate of games. 8 games on the docket. Deej was so surprised he left the room.
It's going to be a crazy week. There's only 2 new matchups in this weekend.
It's Panther City, Philly.
It's the last 2. Or, sorry, yeah, Panther, maybe 3, I guess.
Rochester, New York, Vegas, Vancouver.
And Panther City, Philadelphia. Everybody else is a rematch. Well, maybe Halifax and
Toronto.
Okay, yeah, 4. Dang.
So it's half and half.
Yeah,
but still, that's a lot for early in the season to run it back. Any teams on bye at all? I don't think so.
Somebody has to be because Halifax is playing twice.
Well, it's an odd number of teams in the league.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody's playing. Everybody plays for the first time this year.
Is this true? I feel like somebody's missing.
Yeah, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 7 teams in the West and 8 in the East.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah.
So yeah, somebody's got to play twice when everybody plays. So everybody plays for the first time in 2023. I think Albany-Halifax is going to be another good one. Those two teams play each other close, what seems like all the time. And I think Albany impressed us both by keeping it to a 3-goal game there. Saskatchewan, Colorado is going to be a doozy at the Loud House. Also, shout out to Hoots grabbing us the 2022 Mammoth Championship replica banner at the game that we'll be able to put in the studio. Shout out to the boy, loyal listener there. He also bet my picks last week on Saturday, all 6 of them, and parlayed them together, won like $117. So shout out to the boy for riding with my picks. Halifax and Toronto, I feel like is always close too, but with Halifax playing twice, we'll see how that goes down. Philly and Panther City is going to be great. Great atmosphere at the Wells Fargo Center. Buffalo looks like they're hitting their stride once again. Georgia looks kind of dead in the water right now. San Diego, Calgary, I think is going to get my game of the week nod. That game's going to be a doozy. A rematch. How they came back a couple weeks ago right before New Year and almost won that game. So that's going to be awesome. And then Rochester, New York is going to be a really fun one as well. And then we get a battle of defeated teams to see who gets their first win. What game stands out to you, though?
Obviously, got to go. Looking at Friday night, I'm more intrigued with the nightcap due to Colorado turning their season around. I shouldn't say turning it around, but they got blown out of the water first game by Saskatchewan on the road. That was a tough game for them after winning a championship. And opening the season like that is never fun, but they found a way to kind of let that go, move past it, and are playing much better now. So to invite the rush into their homes so quickly, it's a quick turnaround in my opinion. So I think they still harbor some feelings to that. And that's going to be my game to watch Friday night. Excited to see how Colorado comes out with the passion. And if, the Rush can continue playing as well as they have been, because I don't want to exclude them in any of this. They've been playing fantastic compared to how they ended last year. Obviously, the Philadelphia game is scheduled or is circled due to being a home opener. Whenever somebody has a home opener, it's fun.
Which if you're going to be there, I'll be there. So if you're at the Wells Fargo Center, come say what's up. Would love to interact with the people as I'm on the beat once again for the pod. I'll be at the Wells Fargo Center every single Wings game. So come say what's up.
And then I have to say San Diego, Calgary. That rematch moving forward until these teams slowly start to dissipate with who they have now will forever be a circled matchup due to all the storyline behind it, all the extraness that comes with it. Those guys love each other off the field, but on the field wearing two different colors, you can see the aggression that they play with and the almost betrayal that Calgary feels, and they want to take them down. They want to beat them. So it's always fireworks when San Diego and Calgary get together. So I'm excited for that.
And what better way to continue our Week 7 preview than having friend of the program, now recurring guest, head coach and GM of the Philadelphia Wings, Paul Day, will join us here to preview Saturday night's home opener. First Wings home game, Deej, since March 31st, 2022. It's been almost a year since the Wings have had a home game. So sit tight. Paul Day is going to hop on, and we'll be right back. So don't go anywhere. Let's get it. All right, everybody, we're back. It's another week of the NLL, and finally, the Philadelphia Wings will be back at home at the Wells Fargo Center. It has been far too long. I'm excited to be back down covering this team yet again, and joining us for the second time in about a month span. It took years to get Coach on the show, and now we've got him back-to-back months. Coach Paul Day, head coach and GM of the Philadelphia Wings, joins us here. Coach, welcome back to the show, and very excited for Saturday night at the Wells Fargo Center.
Yeah, we're pretty excited too. Let me tell you, it's been since March since we played a home game, so feels like we've been on the road a long time, and we're so excited to get there and get back to Wells Fargo. So can't wait.
And, obviously you're playing against one of your former staff members with TK coming back to town, back-to-back years. That's been the home opener. What is it like? We touched on it the last time you were on the show a little bit, but what's it like coaching against TK and, having him come back, kind of just the emotions there with your friendship with him and, seeing what he's been able to do in Panther City. But what is that kind of chess match coaching against him like?
Well, we still kind of spend the summers together with an organization, so we know each other pretty well. But I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to the players on the field. So I mean, I think Donville comes in for them, leading them in scoring, and was their first round pick last year. Obviously, stayed at Maryland and won a national championship. So they've added some nice pieces. They made a big trade yesterday with New York, so we're excited to be able to compete against them. And really, it's our last taste of the West this week, and then the rest of the season we got 14 in a row against the East. So it's exciting to be home, and I think it'll be great for the fans. It'll be a hard game. Both teams play real hard, and I like the way they play. They play physical and fast, and so do we. So I think it'll be an entertaining game.
And we talked about it, last year at that final home press conference where you guys went on a 4-game road trip, and then postseason game was also on the road, but you felt like that was going to be a beneficiary. And I think Kyle Matisse also said the same thing where, you guys are going to be out on the road together, kind of spend more time with each other, away from that home environment. What was this, 3-game road trip like for you guys to start this season? Was it kind of similar and kind of growing this team, especially with some new pieces coming into the fold, with Tuts and Joe coming in as big free agent signings? What was kind of that, vibe on the road like for you guys to start the year?
I think it was good. I think our, unfortunately, training camp, we were supposed to be in Buffalo for 3 days in training camp, and it was snowed out. So some of our players live in Western New York and couldn't get to part of our training camp. So our training camp was, I guess you could say, it was a little disturbed. We didn't get the chemistry we wanted. But being on the road, you spend a lot more time, more meetings, more video, more practice. So over the holidays, too, we got together for practice. Joe, Blaze, and Hunter Lemieux all live in Western New York. During the holidays, Blaze was home, so the highways weren't even open. They had to drive through back roads, country roads. One of the bridges to Canada was closed because we were practicing Oakville, and they made it. And I mean, that's what the guys do in this league to commit to play. 2 or 3 hour drive when it's usually like an hour drive. So we've had great practice time. The guys on the road had a lot of fun after we won Friday night in Vegas. Guys played golf on Saturday, went to the Golden Knights game Saturday night. Quite a few guys' wives were on the trip and girlfriends as well. So good bonding time as a group. And but I know the guys are really excited to get to Wells Fargo and get over to Skate Zone to have some good practices this week.
And, you bring up Blaze. He's off to, an incredibly hot start to the season. He's in the top 8 in goal scorers in the entire league. What do you think has kind of, been the catalyst to his hot start this year? And what have you seen from him that's kind of been different from years past where he's now kind of been a big contributing factor early on this season in terms of putting points on the board for you guys?
Well, I think it's development and, maturity, the National Lacrosse League, and opportunity. He's got a lot more opportunity this year. And, he and Rambo, we continue to talk to them about, playing a lot, and they play in every situation, power, short, 5-on-5, a ton, and we want to play them more. So, our focus with them has been about fitness and getting fitter, and they have, and they continue to kind of excel and see the floor. Arguably the nicest goal the weekend there was Blazer to Benny Mack behind the net and an open net, and that's just floor awareness. So, I think he's even if he's not scoring, he's doing so much else. He's picking up loose balls. He's moving off ball. He's stopping transition. So Blaze does a lot of the little things. And, if he wasn't scoring last year, he was still doing those little things. So we'd have that weekly talk where, hey, just keep going. They'll fall. And he's doing the little things, and the ball's falling for him this year. And, he's being aggressive when he's attacking. And, I think having Joe on the right side also helps to create some floor, some more space for guys. And Blaze is so good off ball. I think that's a really important part of his game.
And, you bring up Matt Rambo as well. he's on pace to shatter his career high in assists, which is kind of what he's really developed into as the years have gone by. Is, being able to dish, find guys around the floor or the field in the outdoor game. What have you seen from Matt's development this year in terms of just his floor awareness, finding guys in right situations to be able to be a key distributor and get those assists and really help create offense in this new look offense, obviously, with the new OC that we'll get into as well?
Yeah, I think he's going to create with his feet when he's driving, and when he's driving and the double comes, he's moving the ball. He's probably moving it quicker than he was last year, and when he does that, that's going to create more opportunity one-on-one, because if he's dishing the ball and we're scoring off that, which 10 times in 3 games that's happened, that's going to create more space for himself. So he's having a good year, and we really press him to shoot the ball a little more. I know probably people have coached him in the past maybe haven't had to say that, but we want him to be a shooter first. And when he's driving the net underneath or getting over top and shooting the ball, and not just one way, like sidearm, overhand, just rip the ball. That creates a lot of space for everybody else. And that's the more he's shooting, the more confident he is, the more opportunity he's going to get. So he's been real good on the power play too, which is great. I think that's really, really important. And, we loved having Corey Small on the power play, but we knew, hey, the NLL, there's a cap. So you can only pay so much. That's the rules. So you can only have so many guys. So I think Matt's transitioned well into that shooter position on the power play, and he gets comfortable more each game.
And, with Jeff McComb coming in, we talked about it the last time you were on the show, but now, being able to coach with him with this iteration of the Wings for 3 games, what has that been like? What have you seen from just the way the guys have kind of, responded to the way that he coaches the offense? And does it seem like Ben McIntosh is, just in heaven having Jeff back on the bench with the way he's been, off to this incredible start?
Yeah, and I don't know how many hat tricks does Benny have last year, like 8 or 9? I don't know. He just scores. That's what he does. Benny just scores. And the chemistry with Ben and Jeff is really important. And I think there's a lot of trust there. So, it's been an easy transition for the players. I think he's a real cerebral guy. So sometimes you got to simplify it a little bit. And, in the middle of a game, you have to tell the guys to attack and play lacrosse. And but I think they've had a lot of time with Jeff, which has been great. I think that's another part of being on the road. So it's been a seamless transition, and they continue to get better all the time. And really, he keeps it so simple with spacing and movement. That's the key with his offenses. Make sure off ball you're moving and you're keeping your feet moving, and you're creating good spacing so that other guys with the ball can attack and score goals.
And I was just doing some tweet digging a couple weeks ago to find just a couple highlights from seasons past, and I think enough time has passed now where it's going to be fun to look back on this trade, because it was obviously year 1 of the Wings being back and kind of shocked a lot of people. But it was the Chris Cloutier trade, but Ryan Wagner came back in that deal to Philadelphia, and I think Wags has turned into a fantastic piece on this defense, and he's been off to a really good start this year as well. When you look back on it, acquiring a young Ryan Wagner to integrate into this defense that still has Sharbs, you bring in Ian Lord and everything. What have you seen from Wags' development, since he's been acquired all those years back now, and how he's kind of just really fit into this system super well for you guys?
Yeah, and I think at the time we found that Rambo was, surprisingly so good that, we had Jordan Hall here, we had Blazer. There was quite a bit on the left side, so really it was part of the trade was to make room for Matt Rambo, who was, transitioning into the box game and being really effective. I know obviously getting Wags was really important, and some of that I've watched him play since he's probably a teenager, and somebody that could grow with the team and be, he's very athletic and he does a lot of things for us. Arguably our best defenseman last year. him and Alex Pace were probably our two best defensemen last year. So, he does a lot in transition. Obviously, we're scoring more in transition. We got 3 the other night in Vegas, maybe 4 actually, 1 off the face-off. So, and that's him and Tuts and Matisse. But he's a guy that makes good plays in transition, or and plays really good stingy defense and just a grinder. So, a lot of guys follow him, and he's been a great leader. So I think Hunter Lemieux's part of that trade too. I think that's the first rounder. So, and I think at the time, talked to Chris and his dad. I went to a Bandit game that first season just to watch a game and saw his dad. I think it's really good for Chris too, because he got to be part of an offense where he didn't have to be the main focus.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's helped his career as well.
100%. And, you bring up Hunter. I think, he's been off to a great start this year for you guys and been just kind of one of those under the radar pieces with all the names that are on this offense. What have you seen from Hunter and, how he's been able to kind of fit into this system and, really create chemistry with the guys on this roster?
I think the big thing he does that, your average fan maybe won't watch, it doesn't show up on the scoreboard, is he set good. We all know he'll set good picks because he's a big body.
Mm-hmm.
But it's when he rolls to the net, at 225 pounds, huge body going through the middle, that it creates space. And every shift, he's creating space, setting a pick. The guy gets open, he rolls to the net, but he just clears a lot of space. So that's the big thing we've been focused with him. He's super calm and ultra low maintenance. And, with a young guy like that, it's just going to be time where he's going to contribute offensively. He had an really good opportunity in Vegas to shoot, and he passed it to someone who was maybe more open than him. But, we're going to get on him to shoot the ball a little more. And, for a big guy, he's athletic, he's smart, and he's a heavy load out there for guys. So he's fit in really nice.
And, you bring up you guys scoring in transition. That was kind of an issue last year. That's why you made, the trade for Sam LeClaire. That's why you went out and got Kyle Jackson to kind of create some speed on the floor for you guys. You also hired 2 speed coaches. Talk to me a little bit about that. What went into that decision, and how have you seen some early benefits from, those trainings, and how do you expect that to be something moving forward for this team to really utilize and help the transition game with the speed?
Well, I think the big thing, so many guys play in the PLL, or they play, summer box, which is so taxing on the body. And September, October into November is their training period. And a lot of times it's just recovery. So, we wanted our guys, they all, every pro athlete, they're lifting weights. They have their own routine. But I thought it was really important for us to work on speed and agility at both ends of the floor, because we are a heavier team. Like, it's Philadelphia. We want to be heavy. We want to be a hard load to handle offensively, where guys are going to run you over, not just on the defensive end, but you're going to get run over if you're a defensive guy playing against us. But we needed to be quicker. And I think, our message when we left Georgia, really with 3 weeks of training off, was let's get fitter and faster. And, Kyle Miller, our athletic trainer, played college soccer and has been we really kind of turned to him this summer and said, hey, let's come up with something for these guys this summer when guys finished their summer lacrosse. So, I think it's helped. And, we see guys in pro sports now in their 30s, they continue to train as they were 20s, and they're blowing pecs and triceps and biceps. And, I think it's important that that part of lacrosse, because they don't have it's not like they have a 6-month off season where they can lift and then transition. We might have 2 months off. That's it. So you got to recover, and you got to work on I guess lacrosse specific training.
Yeah, and I think you've seen early benefits, like you mentioned against Vegas, like 3 or 4 transition goals. Trevor scores, and I was watching the game, and when I saw Trevor score, I tweeted, I said, Trevor scoring tonight, it's going to be a fun night. How much versatility do you think another year for Trevor in the box game is going to be, just for this team as a whole, if he can win those face-offs and then go down and score, or like he's been able to do over the past couple of years, play a little bit of defense, get back and help the defense as well. Just how much of a unicorn is Trevor Baptiste?
Yeah, I mean, there's times we use him when we're killing penalties at the front door where, he can go out the front door and kill 30 seconds and run around. He's hard to handle. And he's done such a good job defensively. People still think he plays a little bit of D. I mean, he might not be on the man short, but he plays a regular shift of D. And he's got great chemistry with some of our guys back there. And he does a great job shutting off top side so guys can't get around. He's a great athlete. He's physical, and it's probably the hardest job on the floor is playing a full shift, facing off. I mean, you'll see other teams in this league guy face off, and he's running off the floor. But Trevor's, we get him to stay and play some offense as well, and he's so fit and strong that he's just going to continue to get better.
Might be the biggest steal of a second-round draft pick ever.
Him and Alex Pace in those two drafts have played started the most games in the NLL, and I think that's, I think everybody was going to draft Trevor that year. It's just, my interview with him before the draft was he wanted to play in Philly, so we were fortunate enough, and we knew that he had a background and that he really loved it playing in the college box lacrosse league.
How important, I guess, is the word you could use there, and how much do you value and see from these guys that are on this roster? Like, we had Joe Resiteritz on when he first came in free agency, and he talked about, like, he's wanted to come to Philadelphia for quite some time and, be able to bring a championship here. Obviously, Matt Rambo being from Philadelphia, that's a big thing for him. Blaze making Philadelphia his home. How much do you think that, kind of sits in the back of the guys' minds, like, wanting to perform for the city of Philadelphia and, like, showing that, they are part of, the Philadelphia culture and everything?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes from before we started with the Flyers organization and how they're treated. I think that's number one. Benny Mack lives in Philadelphia as well. It's the only reason we got an opportunity to have Ben McIntosh on our team is because he married a girl from Philly. Like, that's just luck for us. But we've got a pretty good reputation about how we treat our players in Philadelphia, and that comes from Comcast Spectacor from day one. That was one of our goals is, it's a tough league to play in, and we're honored to be in it. But at the end of the day, it's little things. Chris Drake in our office, the way you don't have to worry about your rental car, your bus, your hotel, your flight. Everything's taken care of. It's the little things that make a difference. And then you come into the building, you got great fans, and all of our players are sports fans. They see what the Phillies did. They see the Eagles. They see a great sports environment, and I mean, it's a great city. Just walk around downtown, go to restaurants and bars and coffee shops. It's a great city, and I think it's easy for guys to want to play in Philadelphia. And I mean, I think it's just kind of word of mouth between the players. So, I mean, you come to a Wings game, it's like I always say, you mix a Flyer and Sixers game, and then you put the Eagles tailgate in there. You don't have to be a lacrosse fan. Like, you would know bringing friends to an NLL game. I've never brought any people and they haven't come back. So, if you're a sports fan, you come to one of these games. Like, I play pickup hockey here still, and people will be like, I went to my first NLL game. It's crazy. Like, they'd be like, I never go back to another sporting event because there's like 30 goals. There's, 40 hits and a fight and music playing. Like, you can't go wrong for $25.
100%. And I mean, you talk about the environment at the Wells Fargo Center for a Wings game. It's going to be the first home game since Thursday, March 31st, 2022. How do you expect the environment to be, when that opening face-off goes and, player introductions and everything? What are your expectations for this home crowd for the first home game of 2023?
Yeah, we've had a lot of success since we left there, and I think, obviously tough start in Halifax, but I think we've rebounded really well. And I mean, the guys are probably more excited to get to Wells Fargo than the fans. So, I mean, I think it's going to be real loud, and I know that it's going to be a hot ticket this weekend in town. I was going on picking my own seats today for my family that's coming, and there's not a lot of seats left in the lower bowl. So hopefully we're able to sell that out and really get a good show in there. So, and again, I expect it to be a great game with the way Fort Worth plays, and it's I can't wait to get back.
Yeah, you bring up that Halifax game too, and just kind of one of those games that you look at it, you set it and forget it, and you try to move on from it. It seems like the defense has kind of started to shore up from that. How much of that game was kind of just like an experience going up against an offense that was kind of an unknown going into this season as well? You didn't know what Randy Stotts was going to be. You didn't know how they were going to really gel off the jump, especially after, how everything for them second half of the year happened last year. But what kind of, moments from that game for the defense was kind of like, hey, just kind of, learn from it and move forward, and it seems like you guys have been able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a good learning experience for everybody. I mean, it always, humbles you and makes you work harder. I don't think the start was that bad that game. We actually were competing pretty well, and then it obviously quickly went off the rails. But I think guys understand what they have to work on. So Halifax have been putting up a lot of numbers against a lot of teams. So, but I think that was almost part of our training camp that weekend in Halifax. So it's really, even this weekend in Vegas, I mean, we sent out a 14 clip reel of, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So there's a lot we have to clean up from that. But it's a week-to-week thing, and I think that's great. I think as fans, people will look at, we won, it's great. But as, coaches and managers and players, we look at, hey, that 2/3 of that game was really good, and a third of it we need to change this, but continue to go through, a system of growth and development. I think we've shown that so far this year, which is really important.
And, with some of the new pieces we mentioned, like Joe, like Tuts, how is the integration with those guys? First year on the team, now that you've seen a couple games under their belts with you guys, how has it been, kind of seeing how they perform with their teammates now on this Wings roster?
Yeah, I think the day-to-day, it's great because you see them, Joe and Tuts play together in the summertime, which is great, right? They play on the same team. They play 30, 40 games in the summertime. So it's been real good. Exactly what we hoped from both of them. A couple Energizer bunnies in their room and on the road and the play in the hotels. And then obviously their play is, it's just gives us a little bit of a spark every night at both ends of the floor. And Tuts will run into everybody and run the floor. He got a penalty running the goalie over. He scored, but it was no goal. He ran the goalie over, and that's just Tuts. And we love to have them as part of our group, and they fit in like Joe said. I feel like I've been here my whole career, so I think that's really important. So it's been seamless for those guys, and it's been great for the group. That's for sure.
Did Tuts say anything that was a little weird for him playing against Georgia in that game down there, for the first time?
Yeah, that was a little, obviously he talked at our shoot-arounds game days. Guys have the responsibility of why they play the game, so that was his why that weekend. And he that one felt a little different, I think he said. And but this week against Vegas, it was, he feels like he's been here forever too, as well, and he's played with a lot of these guys, and I think he's really enjoying himself. He's fit in, no problem. I mean, he's he plays man short, he's man down, ball team, plays 5-on-5 offense if we need him to stay and play. Creates a lot of havoc out there, and that's what we love about him. People will love to watch him live this weekend.
I'm excited to finally, get to see him in a Wings uniform. Having seen him play for the Swarm the past couple seasons. But you look at just the landscape of the East right now, through the first couple weeks of the season, kind of, the fun discourse that there is, with just different teams performing really well. How fun do you think it is, down the stretch and, as we move forward in 2023, that this East Division is going to be to, playoff scenarios when March and April roll around, how competitive it really is?
Same old. And yeah, I mean, Roch is off to a great start. Good for them. I mean, they had so many injuries last year, and third year in the league for them. It's great for them, and I don't think we see them twice in April and once in March. So, we're excited to see all the teams. It's a different setup. We're used to playing Georgia so much, and But like I said, after this weekend, it's 14 against the East. So I think every game, I look at Albany, how they're competing and playing so hard. And, they're off to a decent start. Same as Toronto's a good team. It's anybody, any night in the East in this league, anybody can win. And I think that's the great thing about it. I mean, Buffalo's had their struggles a little bit. And, with no Connor Fields and Sheesh Fraser being out for a considerable amount of time and Kluche both, those guys hurt. It's every team's a little different. You bring in an expansion team, you take players from everybody, and it just evens it all out. And I think that's so great for the league, and the NL has done such a great job with that.
I think the last time you were on, we didn't get a chance to ask, but what are your thoughts on the couple morning games you guys have this year? A little before noon starts. I think both against either the Riptide or one against the Riptide and one against Georgia.
Georgia, yeah. I'm looking forward to the one against Georgia because we're getting on a bus and going to Rochester that night for an afternoon or so. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I think the Flyers have had some real success with afternoon games in the past, and our building is so busy, with hockey, basketball, concerts. So, we had the Thursday night game last year, and that was a real success as far as business-wise. So I think us changing and playing different times really helps exposure, and then ESPN and TSN in Canada. So I think that's important too. I mean, Saturday nights, whether the NHL or the NBA is on ESPN or TSN up here, the NBA is on. So, I mean, we have to change it up for a broadcast perspective. And I think if the more exposure we can give the game, the better it is. And, hey, listen, if someone's having coffee in California at 8 in the morning while we're playing, that'd be fantastic for them to see the game. And maybe they want to get a team in California somewhere else.
And then you couple that with a Monday night game later in April against Toronto, which will be a ton of fun for Monday night lacrosse. But, Coach, what are your words of wisdom to everybody coming out to the game on Saturday night against Panther City? It's going to be a fun home opener, obviously. It's always electric at the Wells Fargo Center. But anybody who's coming out for the first time or anybody who's coming, what's the word for everybody to get excited for Saturday night?
Yeah, I think, like I said before, if you're not a lacrosse fan, I don't think that matters. It's if you're a sports fan and you like entertainment, I think our league, I've been in the league since 1991. This league is about entertaining people. Even if you're not a Philly sports fan and you're in town, you come and watch it, you're going to be entertained. It's like a party and there's a sports game going on. There's music, lots of beverages, a party zone, $45, I believe. You come in and get a ticket and drink behind the net with music. So, I mean, if you like to have fun, you like entertainment, you like music and sports, this is the place to come. And every night in the NLL is exciting and physical. And, I bring people to games all the time, and they always come back. So I can't say enough about the entertainment value.
Plus, if you want to see a mascot whose head rotates 360 degrees, it's the place to be. It's the Wells Fargo Center.
Absolutely, yeah.
Coach, it's always a pleasure having you on. Excited to see you on Saturday night, and hopefully, in the press conferences, we'll be talking about a big win over Panther City, and can't wait to have you back on the show again.
Thanks. Great to be back, and we'll see you in a.
Big thanks to Coach Day for hopping back on the show, and big thank you to the Philadelphia Wings for helping set that up for us. And also, make sure you guys are following me and OTB on Twitter and Instagram because I'll be at Wings Media Day tomorrow morning. As you guys are listening to this, Friday morning, I should say. Getting a first sneak peek look at all the new Wings merch, getting to be on the turf. I'm going to have interviews with 3 of the biggest faces in the sport coming your way with Matt Rambo, Trevor Baptiste, and the boy Blaze Reardon. So you don't want to miss out on any of that content coming. So at OTB Laxpod, Twitter and Instagram, make sure you're following because we'll be there for Wings Media Day. But Deej, I think now after Coach Day, drop some knowledge on our heads, I think it's time we grab our old friends.
The Duckies.
It's duck time. It's time for the NLL Week 7 Picks of the Week powered by our friends over at Pickup. You guys can go to playpickup.com, start playing the hottest headlines in sports, rack up points on your fan profiles, cash them in for prizes on the pickup marketplace. Just sign up with your phone number. It's playpickup.com. Deej, first game of the weekend, Albany at Halifax, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time start. I still think the loss of Joe Nardella is huge. I still think Albany's trying to find their way a little bit with all the changes they made this offseason, even though those guys know each other very well. Box and field, it's a little bit different. A little bit different of vibes, a little bit different of approach. And the way Halifax is playing this season is unbelievable. They have an absurd home field advantage. I'm taking the Thunderbirds to get this win.
I'm taking the T-Birds too, but due mostly to your latter point, the home field advantage that is become very key this year. But also just Halifax is one of those teams this year that plays 1,000 times better at home than they do on the road, and they're playing fantastic on the road, so that's scary to say. But I got Halifax tying this one up pretty easily.
Then the nightcap on Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, Saskatchewan travels to the Loud House to take on the defending champs, the Colorado Mammoth. How do you see this battle of the Wild Wild West going down? Important game, as standings will dictate. But the Rush and the Mammoth.
Word of the week. Well, phrase of the week, home field advantage. I'm giving it to Colorado. I think them going into Loud House this weekend, back-to-back weekends, having banner night last week, winning a tight game that was very, very competitive and good. I think it's good for them. I am still worried about their offense. It does scare me because it once again did only put up 9 goals last week. But I trust them at their home arena to figure it out. They're slowly putting the pieces together, and I like them to pull this one out.
I'm right there with you. Got to go with my boys. They look, solid. Not a lot of goals, but also Zed Williams was out in that game against Calgary. But they did enough on defense, and Dylan Ward looked fantastic against Calgary. And I'm just going strictly with vibes. If a team trades away one of our boys, you can't go with them that same week. Saskatchewan traded the Jackrabbit Josh Courier to Calgary, so I got to go with Colorado. So we're both on the same page there. Then moving to Saturday, Deej, we got Halifax's second game of the weekend, this time on the road at Toronto. This one's going to be tough, in my opinion. How do you see this one playing out?
Not as tough as I want it to be, and I'm trying to overthink it to be. I think the back-to-back plays into this huge. Halifax has been good, but playing a rested Toronto team off of the game they had last week at home, that's a tough contest. I like Toronto to pull this one out.
This one I'm torn on because the face-off battle is going to be electric. It's Jake Withers versus TD. TD's looked great this year.
Shout out to the boy. First professional goal. That's the homie. We got to get it out for the Redwoods, though. I'll talk to Nat about that in February when
we'll have our people call your people.
Yeah. I'll talk to Nat and make sure that's all figured out when I go see him in Ada, Ohio in February. But shout out to the guy TD first goal. That was sweet.
Halifax has looked unbelievable, and I totally agree with your point about a rested Toronto team. The only thing that has me going with the pick I'm going with is we've seen more consistency from Halifax as a team than we have from Toronto so far this year. Now, would I be surprised if Toronto wins this game? Absolutely not. But Halifax right now is in the stratosphere of I can't pick against them. Randy Stotts is playing at an MVP level. Cody Jamieson looks unbelievable. The team is just clicking on all cylinders. So I'm going to go with Halifax to get a 2-win weekend and take down Toronto in Toronto. Then we've got Panther City going to Philadelphia, cross-conference matchup here. Final one for the Wings. So they played Vegas last week. You already know where I'm going. The Wings look great. I think they're starting to hit their stride a lot. Panther City still trying to figure some things out, and I just think, the master beats the the student sometimes. And even though they're best friends, they coach all the time together in the summer and everything. I'm going Paul Day over TK. No offense to TK. I love him to death. But give me the Wings.
This one for me comes down to goalie play. Orleman's looked great, or Damude has looked great down there. Actually, it's looked fantastic so far. But we've also talked about their lack of competition per se. No offense to Vegas, but they are an expansion team. They played Vegas twice already.
And that's their 2 wins.
Right, and those are their 2 wins. So it's kind of tough right now to put a lot of trust into that Panther City offense, especially against a defense like Philadelphia that has a goalie like Higgins back there. So due to goalie play in this one, I'm going to have to go with Philadelphia. And it's a home opener, so the juices are going to be going inside Wells Fargo.
Then we go to 7:30 p.m. Eastern time in Buffalo, taking on the Georgia Swarm for the second straight weekend. You already know where I'm going. It's the Bandits. They look great. They're not losing on a weekend that the Bills are playing as well. Give me the Buffalo Bandits by a bazillion.
Yeah. I don't think Georgia has enough. We talked about their defense earlier and their goalie scenario, what's been going on there. So I like everything that's going on between the pipes on both sides for Buffalo. Offense to defense to transition. Everything looks great. So I got them taking care of business against Georgia again.
Dogs only bark on the truth.
Man, because I don't know what she's up there.
She likes your pick.
About.
She likes the pick.
Hey, she loves
Buffalo's got that dog in them. Next game, 9 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. It's San Diego at Calgary in a rematch. Deej, your thoughts on Courier Bros Entertainment Worldwide taking on the Super Seals?
As much as I love all the fun and banter we can have over the next who knows how long with the Courier Brothers being in Calgary, not this weekend. San Diego is insane. Powerhouse. Stacked. Super. Whatever you want to call them, they're that. And they have definitely reached the echelon of cannot choose against them until they give me a reason to. Skiggs has been Skiggs. Their transition has been fantastic. Defense has been, I don't know, weird. They let up goals when I feel like they shouldn't, but they know when to get it together and when to play their best. So, and when you have a loaded offense like theirs, you just got to not. I'm pretty sure their offense walks in and goes, hey, guys, keep them to 8. And they'll do the rest. Like, they kind of have that kind of dynamic set up over there, so it's hard to choose against that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. San Diego. I'd love to see Calgary prove us wrong. But I think even acquiring the Jackrabbit won't be enough to overpower San Diego. So give us the Seals, and then moving on to a battle of the winless teams. Vegas at Vancouver. I think we both teased our pick earlier in the show. We're both going Vegas to get their first win.
Oh, yeah. Y'all already know my rule. Once you reach my no list, I can't pick you. So that's where my decision came in.
What's going to happen when you actually pick a team, though? You just say everybody loses?
When I actually pick a team, then I'll just be impartial to my team, and everybody else is fair game. Just like you do, you know?
Fair. Kind of have to.
Right? Don't you have to?
Then we go to Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. She loves this game. Rochester at New York. Winless New York. Undefeated Rochester. Hopefully Connor Field's back for Rochester, even though they didn't need him last week to put up 17 on Panther City. Again, they're on the... Until they prove me wrong, can't pick against them. Give me the Rochester Nighthawks.
You heard her. Rochester Nighthawks. Because
Rochester.
As much as I love my folks out in the waves, out on the island, I can't do it. They've looked fantastic, even without their quote-unquote best player. Because, I mean, we can't just say Connor Fields is the best player, even though he's played like it.
Statistically, yes.
Statistically, yes, but, I mean, that team is obviously full of talent, as they showed last week, as both Thomas Hogarth and Katoni both scored 4. I don't know what to say when you have an offense like that, and just the energy they play with right now. They're vibing. We had Paulie on not too long ago talking about that. So yeah, I just like the vibe they're playing with right now. And until my boys on the island win, we're in tough position right now.
It's the back of the Bird Bowl.
It is.
It's Paul versus Dan. So very similar to last week. Here are our picks of the week for week 7. Deej and I both have Halifax. Both of us have Colorado. Deej is taking Toronto. I'm taking Halifax. We both have the Wings. Both have the Bandits. Both have the Seals. Both have Las Vegas. And we both have Rochester. Those are the week 7 picks of the week powered by Pickup. And we'll see who gets a perfect week, potentially. I'd love it. I'd love for us to keep our picks rolling. And let us know. Let us know if you're tailing our picks too. Because I'm 21-6 to start the year. You're 16-11. Like, that's unreal numbers right there.
A good flip would be perfect, yo.
You're gonna be like, I just flipped a switch.
I smell the 8-0. 7-1 for you is nice.
I'll take that. I'll take that any day of the week. I mean, the fact that it's week 7 we're going into, like after 6 weeks, 5 game weeks, combined we have 17 losses in picks is crazy.
We know our shit.
And you know what else we know, Deej? We know the times and the matchups for the PLL Championship Series. What a segue. It's brought to you by our friends over at Kenwood Beer. You guys can go to kenwoodbeer.com, use that all-new and improved Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. And if you're going to the Wells Fargo Center for Wings games or Sixers or Flyers or Villanova basketball, you can get Big Kenny's at the Wells Fargo Center. So go to kenwoodbeer.com. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. Deej, we've got our schedule for the Championship Series. It's going to be a wild week of games once February rolls around. But here are the games. Wednesday, February 22nd, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The rivalry that never was. Whipsnakes versus Atlas. And then in the nightcap at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, it is Chrome Archers. And then on Thursday, February 23rd, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Whips Archers. And then 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Chrome Atlas. Friday, February 24th, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Atlas Archers, and then 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Chrome Whips. And then on Saturday, February 25th, at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, it'll be the 1st seed versus the 4th seed. And then at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, it'll be the 2 seed versus the 3 seed. And then Sunday, February 26th, championship game, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll have a champion.
My first thing, lacrosse fans around the world, I beg of you to tune in Wednesday and Thursday night. We are getting Wednesday and Thursday night lacrosse. This is basically a trial, people. If we come out in numbers, we come out in big numbies, no way we don't start to see lacrosse fuse into these other nights and getting primetime spots and getting to see lacrosse become an everyday thing. Like, this is one of those steps to getting lacrosse on Sunday through Sunday, like we see with other sports. Like, granted, it's not exactly every day, but we know that, you know, at least locally, you can find your sport Sunday through Sunday. Or primetime, we're going to get a couple nights out of the week something on TV. Like, this is what we need. So show out, watch the games, enjoy them. They're going to be fun. It's going to be action filled. Get your friends in on it. The people who, rando fans, this is for them. This is what we want them to see, is the exciting part of lacrosse that could draw them in very quickly. Get eyeballs in front of this. This could blow up. I'm really excited for that standpoint of it, other than on-field product, which is also going to be exciting because that's what they do. It's the best in the world.
Now, I won't be around to watch the games live, as I have a prior commitment with one of my other jobs. But I think we should have, if you're around, we should have you and others from Underground Sports on an OTB cast for some of these games.
I would love that. I mean, I'm going to be around. And I mean, I wouldn't hate pulling in somebody, a listener, like somebody who's actually, going to sit down and watch, and I know is going to watch and enjoy it. And we kind of give them that first taste as a piece of OTB. It can be legendary,
Have a
first
rotation
fan on
type
OTB
thing too. Like, one fan comes in for a half, and then another fan comes in for a half, and then do it for the next game. Like, there's endless possibilities.
There's all kind of stuff we could do with that. I'm down.
We have technology. So yeah, that's why you got to follow us on the socials to keep up to date with everything. But that's a good idea. I do like that as well. Very excited for the championship series. I am like 94% going to be at the championship game. So that's exciting. I'm probably close to 100% at the championship game. So stoked for that. Stoked for what's to come with the championship series as a whole, as a product, moving forward. And then did you see that the Olympic Committee has recognized lacrosse?
I did see that. I did. I'm excited for that. We're one step closer. We have to continue to show out the way we have been. The field stuff is there. The field stuff is there. The inclusion part is getting ever so close. This is why eyes, social media, merch sales, all of that matters, because we have to get this to a global point. The bigger it is here, the bigger it becomes globally. That helps us out in the Olympic standpoint. But I think everything is trending definitely in the right direction. The World Games was huge. I think the next ones will be just as big as they were this year for lacrosse. And hopefully along this trend, we'll end up 2028 with lacrosse in the Olympics in LA.
It's going to be awesome. Deej, I have one final question for you. We touched on them lightly. There's not much to break down until you really see everything, because it was just, a conditional draft pick for Josh Courier. But of the four big moves, I should say, Jake Fox for Chad Cummings, Josh Courier for the 4th round draft pick, Vancouver front office shakeup, New York front office shakeup. How would you rank the importance value of those 4 moves?
I'd have to go Vancouver front office takes the 1 spot. They've had much bigger problems, obviously, as we've said, that have extended beyond probably even last year. And honestly, everything starts at the top. That's my motto as a coach. I try and emulate everything I get my kids to do, because it starts at the top. If you aren't doing it, they're not going to do it either. So I understand their standpoint and going with the leadership and getting that to be their first steps. So then obviously second behind them is going to be the Riptide with their general manager situation as well. And then I'll have to say the Courier brothers getting together, strictly just because of where Calgary is compared to the other 2 teams in question. Calgary is very much in a spot where that Josh Courier move could be the move that propels them into second place out west, in that kind of scenario, putting them in a better position, whereas New York is getting help, but it's not like a game-changing move where like they're going from 0-4 to we're about to run the table and make the playoffs.
I think it's a good culture move for New York.
Yep.
Not that their culture's bad, but I think that extra additional leadership voice, that championship experience voice is huge. And I think Jake going to Panther City is only going to help his career too. Him playing with Donville is going to be awesome. I'm pretty much in the same boat as you. I think it's Vancouver 1. Granted, their job is the hardest because they have a lot of work to do. Then Rich Lisk taking over as GM for New York as number 2. I think I would put Chad Cummings going to New York as number 3. Then Josh going to Calgary number 4. Jake Fox going to Panther City 5. And then 4th round conditional draft pick very last because you don't know what it is. It's an unknown. We're going to sign off for the pod here. But there will be a pack card opening coming up in a separate thing from the pod that we're going to record. So make sure you guys follow us at OTB LaxPod on Twitter, Instagram. Follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave those 5-star reviews. It really does help the show. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. That's massive. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Smash that like button. Ring the bell icon. Comment down below your picks, your thoughts on the trades and moves made this week in the NLL, the championship series, whatever we talked about on the show. Leave it in the comments section below. And, of course, share the YouTube channel with your people. And get your merch. PHI Apparel Company, phiapparel.co. Use code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your hoodies, your shirts, any apparel order. It's the most effective and direct way to support everything we do here as a company. So go get your merch. Tweet at us and tag us when you get it. And big thank you to Paul Day and to the Philadelphia Wings for setting that up for us to have Coach Day on the show this week once again. And this has been episode number 256 of the allegedly award-nominated, honorably mentioned, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, part of the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Deej, I'm KB. Till next time, we are signing off. Peace.
Peace.